Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode here on the channel. Today we're going to be doing the FIFA 21 official career mode trailer. If any of the career mode trailers get you excited about my channel, this is obviously the one. This is the one that we focus on the most when it comes to FIFA 21. And this is what we're most excited for. Now, it's only 2 minutes and 34 seconds. There's probably some pitch notes that have been released as well, I would imagine, that we'll do a deep dive in, because I didn't do that on the gameplay one that I should have, and we might even go over that a little bit in this episode, because there was a lot of really good detailed stuff in the pitch notes for gameplay. The pitch notes for pro clubs, though, complete and utter garbage. They don't give a damn about that career or that playlist, whatever you want to call it, game mode. But today, we're hopping into career mode. Now, they've already released some of the things we've talked about a little bit on the channel already, about the things we know in FIFA 21. But we get to see it in action today. No more delaying. We're hitting the play button. This is also loud as fuck. Holy.
Manage every moment in FIFA 21 career mode with a new interactive match sim, more control.
We're not using the interactive match sim.
And more ways to sign
team training poggers. Loan with option to buy is back.
Ready for a whole new way to play out your career.
I literally don't give a shit about
this.
this.
The brand new interactive match sim gives you full
Pardon
control
the language.
sim in matches. Jump in and out of the action when you decide to
It's
change
so...
the course of the game, or take charge for key moments to dominate the moments that matter. Keep an eye on match stats and player performance levels, and make subs or tactical changes on the fly.
Maybe like super late into our career modes we use this, but I just don't see it. Player development
puts you in charge of your squad's development.
That's the big thing. You can change positions this year.
And goal-scoring midfielders into false nines with new position training. And new development plans give you control over each player's growth to help you build your squad's attributes to match your style of play.
Active training.
Manage your team schedule and train multiple players at the same time with a new activity management system.
A whole calendar system now. Took it from PES, or not PES, from FM.
Fitness with match sharpness. A new stat that shows you how likely players are to perform.
So that's what that icon was. So there's morale, which content is going to be super annoying to see all the time like that. They need to change that so morale you only see if it's down or up. Like, you shouldn't have to see morale all the time, because this just makes it look like shit. Like, your team is content, but it's like, nah. Except for Fernandinho over here, who's not having a good time as center back. But match sharpness, okay.
Then boost it with group training sessions, monitor your players' progression, and find that sweet spot with fitness and morale.
Which looks like everything is still going to be able to be simmed and stuff like that, so that's good. New transfer options.
All about the Galacticos or the hunt for the brightest young prospects. New options give you more ways to transfer players and a more realistic transfer market in FIFA 21.
I'm sure these ratings aren't fully up to date.
And negotiate player swap offers with other managers to bolster your squad each transfer window.
And again, hopefully they're going to come in with the deals.
Overhauled opposition AI gives you a more intelligent opponent to play against in every match you play. New tackling, player switching, and marking logic makes opposition defenses harder to break down. And at the other end of the pitch, more intelligent attackers have a stronger understanding of dribbling and passing to keep you on your toes from game to game.
Ooh, that skill move was nasty.
With new ways to train, play, and make transfers, manage every moment of your career in FIFA 21.
Dog, I'm gonna be honest with you. We didn't really see much. Where was
And find that sweet.
No. Let's go back a second. There we go. So for active training, looks like you're still, so now you're gonna do 3. Now this is probably 3 in one day, and you're gonna have groups, so you could do like your defense together, your shooting together, your attackers together, and like your midfield and attacker maybe for like build up play. It looks like it's gonna affect fitness whenever you train, so it'll go down because obviously your stamina is being used, I guess. So that's going to be interesting. Obviously, you're not going to want to train your players too often, because like Sterling dropped down to 62 fitness here, but his sharpness is up to 69. So this is probably like preseason stuff. And then obviously like your fitness will go back up for over the couple days to the next game. So that's decent. The new transfer options I'm not really excited about. It's just loan to buy offers, stuff that should have already been in the game. This calendar is super interesting to me. One, the calendar just looks better in general, so that's good. You can set weekly plans, intermittent rest. After the match, you either have a training day or a rest day, and before the match, you either have a rest day or a training day. There's almost nobody that's going to have a rest day right before a game. You're going to train right before the game, and you're going to rest the day after. Unless you lose badly, then you're going to go back to training because your players are shit. Just throwing that out there. So loan with the option to buy. Great. Really happy to see that in the game. Let's discuss alternative options. To let Zinchenko go, we want 6.8 million, and we also want to sign Zuma as part of the deal. So that was a counter offer because this guy's playing as Chelsea, so they actually countered. We want Zuma as part of the deal, which is huge. That's gonna make transfers more entertaining. Because obviously some teams are going to come in for some wild stuff, bro. Player development, of course, we've already seen this. You're going to be able to change the type of player they are. So you're going to be able to make them they literally stole almost all of this from FM, which is fine. I'm cool with it because like I said, I love FM. But you're actually going to be able to set what kind of striker they are, what kind of midfielder they are, their play style, and things of that nature. So their growth. There's a position, but then also the different types of plans in the position. So a deep lying forward, a penetrator, a playmaker forward, and a pressing forward. That's going to be good because that increases certain stats at different places, similar to how obviously it affects it in Football Manager or even Ultimate Team. So that's good to know. Hopefully these are pitch notes, maybe? Pitch notes, yeah, I think so. Cool. So we have interactive match sim. Let's see if I hit read more. Okay, so the whole pitch notes are here, right? Poggers. Oh, good shit. Okay, massive. This is actually a long ass document. This is a huge ass deep dive. There's a lot to cover. Let's jump right into it. So in this thing, we're talking about interactive match sim. We don't give a shit about a new match launcher. Dope. Player development, player position conversion, new active training, player sharpness, player feedback system, team schedule planning, new transfer options and improvements, and additional improvements and broadcast improvements. Absolutely huge. Okay, interactive match sim. There's really not anything crazy about that, but you do get to jump in immediately when you want to. So let's say you only want to play offense. Chances are you're not going to want to jump in this often. But if you wanted to, you could watch the match sim, and then whenever it jumps into offense, you just take it, and then you get to shoot the ball right here. That's kind of dope. If that's what you're into and you're really shit at defense, you could absolutely give that a chance. Or let's say it hits like the 70th minute, a good opportunity's coming up, and you're like, we need to score now, we're going to lose this game. Jump in, try to hit the shot. If you don't hit the shot, keep simming. Or like if your team's just not playing well enough, obviously take over the team, do what you need to do. So that is cool. Again, we won't really use it in the beginning of a career mode, but maybe later on. The big thing about that is going to be, because there's interactive match sim, in theory, there should be an opportunity for player career mode to come in as a substitute now. But there's nothing about that in these pitch notes, at least not yet. And it looks like this is all manager career mode anyways. They don't give a damn about player career mode, let's be honest. Whenever you're inside the interactive match sim, you see players attempt to implement your game plans and have the tools needed to recognize them on the fly if needed. You can interact with team management, change game plans, and monitor your team's and your opponent's information in real time. So like fitness, player ratings, match stats, and a game plan. So that's huge. You can see what kind of game plan they're running before you come into the game. That way you understand what you're really going to be looking at whenever you come into the game. So they're running a 4-3-3 false 9 balanced. But if they're running something kind of crazy, you can see that before you come into the game, and then, you know, obviously don't know what the hell's going on. So that is cool. Interactive Match Sim also features audio commentary and stadium atmosphere throughout the match. That's pretty dope. New match launcher. You can launch each match with one of the three options. You can play match, sim match, or quick sim match, obviously. You can now see the probable opponent lineup alongside your active team sheet so that you can evaluate the fixture and make informed decisions. That is actually huge. It's such a simple thing to add, but that's actually huge, because you know the amount of times that like you're playing, let's say, a Premier League career mode with a mid-table to kind of high-table team. So like I was gonna say West Ham, but they're kind of mid to bottom now. LOL. Like a Leicester or something. Let's go with Leicester City. Leicester City, you have a little bit of a deeper squad, but not really. You want to start playing some of your bench players, but you don't know if you're playing, let's say, a team like West Ham, and they're going to play their full starting lineup, or because they played Man City earlier in the week, they're actually going to play a weaker lineup. Then you can kind of see, well, let me play a good striker because their defense shit, but let me play a little bit of a weaker defense because they're playing a backup striker. So you can kind of plan to that. Obviously, if it's a probable lineup, this might not be 100% accurate. We'll see how accurate it is once the game comes out. Player development. Developing a solid and diverse squad that is fit to take you to glory is an integral part of the manager experience. We are aware in the past this could rely more on transfers and squad growth. With the new player development feature, a fully revamped player growth system, we are now enabling you to grow your squad and make the most of it when possible. So absolutely huge comment there. Players can be developed and specialized in various roles based on their player position and the attributes that best fit your style of play improved upon. So, you know, you could bring in maybe a more possessive type midfielder, but if you play a faster counterattack, now you can work on growing your player to become a better counterattack center mid. That's also good at possession. So you can actually develop players. You can also develop youth players, which is going to be super important, because you know how often you get a youth player that might have decent stats or has that potential to be 90 rated, but just does not fit your play system at all. And you can't get them to learn it because all you can do is just do training and hope that you can play with them well in the game. But I have so many youth players that are just not good, no matter how good I get their stats to be. So that'll be interesting to see. So rather than wasting XP on attributes you're not interested in, the growth plans focus that XP towards major attributes to generate the overall of the player for their current position. Skill move and weak foot ratings, absolutely massive, because right now I cannot train the weak foot on my player career mode. So that's going to be interesting to see in player career mode as well. You can actually increase your skill moves and weak foot ratings without just completing challenges for your player career mode. Attacking and defensive work rate. That's also huge. Again, you can kind of change the style of, let's say, a midfielder or a right back. You want him to be a little bit more attacking, or you want him to be a little bit more defensive. There's going to be training for that. Attributes that fuel specialization. Attributes that may not contribute to the current position overall. So if the deep lying playmaker that we saw in the trailer for Firmino, you can now train your players to maybe have a different type of play style or specialization. Maybe you want to work on that, you know, passing or something, or defensive mindset. It's not really going to help a striker, but maybe you want him to be able to steal the ball off a defender. Maybe you want him to be able to be a false nine and facilitate the ball and win the ball back and do the things that he needs to do. You could absolutely do that. Much like in real football, the speed at which players develop depends on their age, abilities, potential, form, and play time. Give a player with great potential a few games and help him perform, he will turn into a better player at an accelerated rate. Keeping him on the sidelines for too long can have the opposite effect. So it's up to you to make the decisions that work best for your team. So it sounds like youth players are going to be having a more developed potential system, which will be good. Obviously, that's always kind of been the case. You know, your youth players are going to grow depending on how often they play, but it sounds like it's a little bit more in depth this year, hopefully. Player position conversion, which hopefully will be in player career mode as well, because it'd be great if you could develop your player to move to a different position depending on whatever club that you go to. Hopefully that's going to be the case. We've heard your feedback around wanting to have the ability to train players in other positions as part of player development. Players can now be converted to other positions, allowing for more freedom and control to manage your squad. Position conversions can also give a new chance to players that have fallen out of favor in their original role. So let's say, like back in the day with Arsenal, I actually loved playing Olivier Giroud at center attacking mid, and then playing like a Theo Walcott up top against some teams. And then the better players I brought in, the better strikers I brought in, the better wingers I brought in, I wanted to move players different positions. But then you play them out of position, they don't play as well. They don't get to up their stats as well. So now you can go ahead, you can increase their work rates, their skill moves, their player positioning, and then slowly work their way. Or like a Marusic, who we moved from right wing to right back. Now you can actually develop his work rate to be even more defensive than he already was, or be more balanced in his attacking and defensive positioning. Younger players will be naturally easier to convert to other positions, and declining veteran players can be guided towards a position that helps them conserve their key attributes better. So a younger player, you could move from left wing to right back probably, or a striker to right back maybe, just something crazy, right? But like a winger that's like 29 years old, 30 going on 31, maybe they can only be moved from right wing to center attacking mid, let's say. So that'll be cool. That'll be great to see. Player development and player conversion are also available in youth academy players while in the academy. That is huge, because the amount of times that I've had a youth player play in the absolute wrong position for their stats is actually insane. So that'll be really cool to see as well. New active training. Each training day will feature 3 distinct training session slots, each focusing on specific training drills and specific players. Multiple players can now participate in each drill depending on the drill type, allowing you to involve up to 15 players in a training day. Every session consists of diverse drills and various scenarios focused on improving a specific area of the game: defensive, passing, dribbling, shooting, or set pieces. Training days will always be pre-populated with the appropriate drills and players based on the active team sheet, but you can always take control and edit them should you wish to fine-tune your training day outcome. Changing your active team sheet will also give you the ability to instantly update the drill and player selection for your training day, allowing you to train an entirely new set of players, for example, your reserves team sheet, assuming that you haven't consumed your training slots. So it's really cool to see. I actually really do enjoy that. Because obviously, you know, if you're going up against the bottom of the league, you don't necessarily want your starting team to be the one training that week, because you need the match fitness to be increased for your bench players, because they're the ones that are going to be playing the weekend. So that is good to see that it's going to be that easy to switch it. And it's also nice to see that it's going to be auto-generated, so you don't have to keep up with that if you don't want to. Your players will just train regardless, which is, again, really, really cool to see. So let's get more specific on this topic. Depending on the difficulty, training drills consume different levels of fitness. The more difficult the drill, the bigger the fitness cost, but the maximum sharpness output will be substantial. Getting the highest grade, either by playing or simulating the drill, will maximize the sharpness output. Fitness cost will be the same regardless of the result. Huge. Very interesting. So if you do simulate it, you could really shit the bed. The more difficult drills are obviously more challenging and will require more skill to obtain a higher grade. This introduces an element of choice. Do I want to play it safe and engage in an easy drill that I can ace and get the maximum sharpness out of, or risk playing a more difficult drill for an even bigger boost should I manage to get a higher grade? That's good to see. It's actually, you have to have thought in your training now, which is really, really cool. So when simulating a drill, the grade will always, the grade you get will always be the highest grade that you've obtained when playing it. That is actually huge. That is actually huge. And I'll tell you why. Now, you only have to do a drill one time. You only have to do it one time. That is massive. If you do the drill first time, week 1, day 1, and you get an A on that sucker, you're good for the rest of the season. You can simulate that thing however much you want. You don't have to do it every time, but you do get the opportunity to not have your drills be awful. And if you're only good enough to get a B on a drill, then you can just simulate it and get B's on the drill forever, and you don't have to worry about getting a C or a D because you tried to push for the A. But you could still do that if you wanted to as well, because it's based on the maximum grade whenever you choose to simulate them. That's huge. I love that. By default, drills that you haven't played yet will award a maximum grade of D when you choose to simulate them. So you kind of have to do it first time to at least set a precedent, which is cool. I like that. Player sharpness. Let's look at a sharpness or a striker, for example. When their sharpness is 100, an example of some of the attribute boosts, you'll have positioning +4, finishing +5, ball control +3, and shot power +3. Please note that player overall and attribute ratings shown throughout the article do not represent final values. Oh yeah, Mbappe is better than 90 rated, I guess they're saying. Sharpness at 50 means the player is an average sharpness. This will not receive a boost, nor they incur a penalty on attributes. Sharpness between 50 and 100 mean sharper than average, and their attributes will be boosted, and then obviously below average they'll be reduced. So I'm sure like if a player's coming off an injury, obviously that player's not going to be 100%, and their rating's going to suffer because of that. And you do want to obviously keep training up your youth academy players and things of that nature, because then if their match sharpness gets better, they can play better. So that's going to be pretty big. Player feedback system, sharpness, morale, and playing on preferred position. Also be on the lookout for new sharpness icon present next to the existing morale icon. This will allow you to spot the players that are in the best condition ahead of a match. So there's training day, recovery day, rest day. Don't really need to go into that. That's pretty obvious. We do get to see it here, so you can set your weekly plan. Only training, only rest, intermittent training. So if you have a busy week with like 3 games in a week, maybe you only want to rest. Maybe you want to add 1 training day here and there, but like nothing too crazy. So that'll be good to see. If you're not much of a micromanager, don't worry. The robust scheduling rules can be adjusted whenever you want during the season, allowing you to make high-level changes without having to get involved with planning activities every day. The monthly calendar will keep its existing functionalities, looking into the future months and send to date, but will also now surface the activities set in the weekly schedule. From here, you can also adjust the schedule rules for your entire season. If you want to go in depth, you will have to step into the weekly schedule view to plan out each day individually. So now there's loan to buy again. Instead of making risky transfers, you can now loan the players you desire first, with the option to make the transfer permanent, or if they live up to your expectations. AI player swap proposals. While player swaps were introduced in career mode a while back, you might have noticed that AI was still preferring old-fashioned cash-only transfers. The AI will now make player swap proposals with players of their own. When you attempt to buy a player from another club, they can propose a swap as well, asking for one of your players in return. Contract renewal improvements, where we've given the AI-controlled clubs the ability to perform contract renewals based on the player's rank in the club. So you will usually not see the top players in a club become free agents. It can still happen in some cases, as top players might not always want to accept contract renewals. Additional improvements. Onboarding. As we constantly are adding features to the game, it's become more important to provide information to our players about the inner workings of career mode. This year we are taking that step in the direction of teaching players the purpose of each system within the mode and how they become more successful using them. Okay, I don't care. So UI branding in all matches. There's going to be MLS, UEFA Champions League, Europa League, the CONMEBOL, Spain, Germany, France, England, of course. Press conference morale impact. Only players that are eligible to play will be impacted. That's cool. And post-match will be impacted by your answers. So the players in the match will be impacted by your answers. So there's actually a reason to do press conferences now, which is good. Hopefully they're not as basic as they were before. Player morale and player form. We've received your feedback that maintaining a high morale level for your squad is too easy, so we added a layer of depth to how players' morale are affected by performance. Player ratings from their previous match on their current form will dictate what type of answer is most beneficial to them. A player with low match performance can receive a bigger morale boost from an answer that motivates them, while praise can have the most impact. Because that's kind of why I stopped doing post-match interviews, because post-match interviews really would just boost your squad's morale so easily, because all you had to do was say something positive about the whole squad and everybody was happy. So if you stopped doing it, it made it almost more realistic. Establish youth academy. When you take on the manager of a club, you no longer have to start setting up a youth academy by yourself. The club will already have a youth scout hired and a number of players already recruited into the youth academy. The number varies based on the importance of the youth development rating, and there's also a chance that one of those players is going to have the potential to become one of the world's best. So that's huge, dude. You actually get to come into a new club and possibly already have some really, really good youth academy talent. That's absolutely massive. If you pre-order or purchase the Champions or Ultimate Edition of FIFA 21, you will be entitled to a homegrown talent player for your academy. When you create your career mode save, one player with high potential will await you in your youth academy. This player will have the same nationality as the club, and news stories around his performance will call out his upbringing as a local player that grew up close to the club. Love that. Love that. Financial takeover, whether you want to give your club a whopping 500 million or start with next to nothing, you can customize your experience how you want. Nice. You can set the amount of cash you want your club to receive as part of a financial takeover. That's awesome. Cool. Negotiation strictness. Some people always enjoyed the fact that we let you build a star-studded team without any limits, but for others, this might feel like breaking authenticity or immersion. Instead of picking one of the two approaches, we figured that the best way to go is to allow you to choose how you set up your game. Strict negotiations mean that clubs won't be interested in taking offers from a rival club. Huge players won't be interested to move to a lower ranked league or a club they have a grudge against. Players with the one club player trait won't be interested in joining any other club, and you won't be able to approach players that signed to a club for less than a year. When the negotiation is set to loose, all of the above limits are off, so you can make transfers without any of the above mentioned restrictions. You no longer have to play for a season to be able to get the players that recently transferred in the football world. So if you want to do a crazy career mode video where you go out and sign the best players in the world and do all the crazy things in the MLS or whatever, you can absolutely do that. If you want to do a realistic career mode, which we'll be doing on this channel, we'll set it to strict negotiations. We'll make it hard on ourselves. We'll make it so that we genuinely have to go find the diamonds in the rough sometimes to go get good players, or, you know, make it a little bit more realistic there at the very least. Player retirement, we changed the player retirement logic to trigger only if the player is in the final year of their current contract. This will allow a star veteran player to push retirement further. We've also changed the age at which players retire to make the retirement age closer to 40, because more players are starting to play longer in this part of soccer history. Pause. Give me 1 second. Okay. Youth and regen player personality. Fixed an issue with player personality and emotion for youth and regen players that had improper personality and emotion assignments to these players. This caused issues with how the morale of these players were impacted, yada yada. That was really late game type stuff. Some of your youth players didn't react a certain way to post-match interviews. Anyways, board objectives. We've made some changes to board objectives to make their requirements more clear, especially around the brand exposure objectives. We've replaced the objectives around match attendance and season tickets with milestones that the fans would love to see in a club. These milestones include reaching a certain amount of wins in a season, winning streak at home, a run of unbeaten games away, and many more. We've also changed the requirements to give youth players playtime to 2 seasons in order to make sure there's plenty of opportunities. That's huge because youth players were always hard to get into a team if you were playing at a bigger club. And how the hell do you get people to get season tickets without just winning? It was kind of confusing. Love that. Loan and transfer negotiations. If a player is negotiated, okay, we identified and fixed some issues that were causing the player transfer decision score to be higher than it should be when it comes to transfer offers. Here are some elements which can factor into negotiations. If the player has negotiated a release clause, if the player has negotiated another offer for the player, or if there's another offer for them already accepted by the club, if the player is a free agent, or if they're listed for loan or transfer, if the offer is coming from a club in the same country where the player is playing at, a comparison between the player's nationality and the country in which the buying club is based, the overall of the buying team, and the ranking of the league in which they are playing, how the players overall compares to the league overall, the current contract length of the player and the contract length that is being offered, the length of the loan if it's a loan, how much time the player spent at their current club. The more time they spent, the more likely they are to accept a move. Interesting. How much the player's role differs at the new role or at the new club compared to their current role. This one is extremely important as it plays a significant part in the transfer decision, with players more likely to accept a crucial role at another club if their current role used as rotation players. So like if you're going after a young player that's at Man City, it'll be easier to bring him to like a Southampton or something. If the buying club is using a formation that features a player's preferred position, for example, CDM won't like playing for a club that uses a 4-4-2 formation without a designated CDM slot. That's actually huge, man. Again, transfers are going to be more interesting this year than ever before, so that'll be great. Broadcast improvements, I believe this is the last section that we are in. So we've made a number of improvements to our match broadcast experience, focusing on immersion and authenticity. Some of these improvements include a full refresh of French League 1 and League 2, iconic atmosphere following the steps of You Never Walk Alone, Man City, Real Madrid. More clubs will have their anthems implemented for FIFA 21, so Chelsea, Dortmund, AC Milan, Atletico Madrid. Authentic goal music. This applies when playing at home and scoring. Some of these include Chelsea, Dortmund, Inter Milan, because as we've seen, they're fully they got the rights fully to San Siro. So Inter Milan and AC Milan are going to be a little bit more specific. New localized stadium announcers playing in different countries across Europe will feel more authentic, as the intro and specific moments in gameplay will include local flavor for the following languages: French, Italian, German, and Spanish. That's good because everything was English. New broadcast stories, which will be picked up by commentators. Your manager club debut, manager of the month award, debut of a high-profile youth player, milestones for matches played and matches won as a manager, important player returning from injury, and player facing his previous club. That's good. They'll actually talk about more things in the game. New commentary, we like that because I've started, not playing with the headset on, ignoring commentary. So I do like that for sure. New teams tifos for select clubs, including Man City, and new crowd card designs for select clubs. That's good to see. Thank you for the constant feedback you've been providing us and for the support you've shown throughout the years. We're excited about career mode in FIFA 21 and look forward to seeing your feedback. We like that, dude. I mean, that's good stuff. It's not everything we asked for, but it's actually pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie to you. These Volta pitch notes, these are new, aren't they? They came out yesterday. I actually haven't read this. I'm not gonna go in deep into this, but I just want to see the debut featuring Kaká. The debut is designed to help FIFA players better understand the mechanics of Volta football. With a friendly nudge from Kaká, pursue glory at the Streets and Icons tournament in Dubai. So there's gonna be like an intro or something. That's cool. Grow your avatar. Avatars grow from playing matches, and the debut will have access to optional training drills that will provide additional growth opportunities. The drills have curated to teach users the fundamental skills needed to succeed in Volta football. Cool. Learn gameplay strategies, earn more rewards, stack your squad, gear up so more. Oh, jerseys look dope this year. Adidas gear, community gear, club gear, player growth. After every match, your avatar will earn a match rating. Match rating can be increased. Cool. Unlike the time sensitive, team chemistry, Volta Stadium hub, so there's a new hub. Okay. Volta looks pretty cool this year. We'll see. Again, as of right now, I'm not sure where I'm really going to be playing a lot of my online FIFA, because I'm going to be playing career mode on PC just because it looks better on PC. But I'm probably still going to get it on PS4 just because of online, because of Pro Clubs and Volta. But there's some really good stuff here. If you guys haven't read the pitch notes, definitely come into here because there's a lot of really, really good stuff, especially the gameplay one, which we're not going to go through today. But the actual creative runs and all of their decision making for a lot of the stuff, gameplay wise, looks really, really good. They're spending a lot more time on this game than they did for FIFA 20, and that is exciting. Hopefully the post launch is as good as the pre-launch has been, but it's been decent so far, and we've really enjoyed it. So that's where we're going to end it for today's episode. We did go over everything in career mode. This is absolutely everything that you guys missed in the career mode trailer, because it was 2 minutes. Actually, no, it was what, 3 minutes? I said it was 2 minutes, but it was, yeah, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. And there's all this stuff, dude. That was like a 20-page document of career mode stuff that we just went through. So definitely go check that stuff out. Go and see all of the new things that they're adding and all of the detailed things they're doing for career mode and all the other game modes. It'll make you feel a little bit more excited for FIFA 21. I'm sure it will, because that's what it did for me. But that's where we're going to leave it for today. If you guys did enjoy and you want to see more of these deep dives here on the channel, let me know in the comment section down below. But if you did enjoy, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, I'll see you guys later. Peace. Is it my fault?